All right, well, let's go live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask Me Anything. I am your host, Adam KN6QGV, with my co-host,
Jeremiah W9JM.
Today, we're actually going to go over a quick recap. We have a video here for you guys of Hamvention, and then we're going to go over setting up APRS transmit on your radio so you can actually set up your radios properly so you can transmit your APRS to APRS.FI through a DigiGate or one of the other gateways.
That is correct.
Jeremiah, would you like to take it on over?
All right. So with that being said, I have a recap video for you guys that is roughly about 9.5 minutes long of going through everything Hamvention that we were able to see. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen. And so here are some pictures from way up in the air, out the window of the plane. That was at the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. Well, saber-toothed tiger for you. Another photo. And then me and Adam. Hey guys, it's Jeremiah from BridgeCom Systems here with Adam. The legend, the myth, the man. And we are at Hamvention in Xenia, Ohio. And we are making our way over to the ticket area to meet one of our BC Plus members who actually won some Hamvention tickets. So another reason to take and pay attention to the Facebook group, because sometimes we have stuff that we give away. Not just our normal giveaways, we have some special giveaways. So make sure that you like the page, subscribe to the group, and keep an eye out for everything. But here is the other view. Here is everything that's going on so far. You can see the food courts over here. ICOM's got their tents up, and we are in the Maxim Hall right back there. So hopefully you all are having a great day, and we will be back with more. 73s for now. 73. All right, so we are in building 1, and here is MFJ's booth. There's R&L over there. Jetstream, ADSB Exchange, all sorts of computer stuff. So yeah, plenty of coax. It's probably over 500 miles of coax in this place right now. So yeah, very true. But and then DX Engineering is down here. So yeah, all the big vendors are here. Kenwood's here. So yeah. Hey everyone, this is Jeremiah W9JM, and I am in building 2 at Hamvention in Xenia, Ohio. And there are plenty of different shops around here. We've got one that actually makes custom hats and clothing. So you can get your call sign, you can get name tags, all sorts of stuff around here. So there's some badges that they make. So you've got that. Sorry. And then you've got Radio Sport, which I believe makes headsets. And then you've got the special event station, W8BI, as well as the Gara special event station. There's that. You've got the Radio Waves people that make antennas. You got the ICOM booth right here. We got the Ham It Up people right over here, Gordon West, WB6NOA, and the W5YI group. So we got that. Let's see. Got the youngsters on the air, or youth on the air, depending on what you want to call it, down over here. You've got the ARRL Great Lakes Division over here. And this is building 2. And the OMIS group is here, if you're into HF. So yeah, for building 2, there's quite a lot of stuff in here. So Jeremiah again, W9JM, and building 3 this time. Here is another spot that is doing hats and name tags, mouse pads, all sorts of stuff. A lot of vendors. Looks like they sold out of the Tar Heels already. Darn.
No, I'm coming that way. I'll meet you out.
Yep. Missed out on my Tar Heel. Oh well. I can order that later. But yeah. A lot of different vendors. There's the Yaesu booth way over there in the corner. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but there is Yaesu right there. So there's that. This is the Tar Heel booth where they build the Tar Heel antennas. They are really good antennas. I've got one on my car.
That's right.
So let's see what's over here. It looks like the Wireman, all sorts of wires, Biano batteries, different cases for radios. So yeah, let's go back in a little bit further into building 3 here and see what else we got. I think the MFJ booth is here. I think. A lot of people here.
And just so you
yeah.
guys are aware, in the food court, there was a
Buddy Poles over there in the corner. One of the antenna companies is over here.
There's a lot of HF antennas all over the place at Hamvention.
Comet antennas right over here. So there's a lot of those. I actually use a Comet antenna on my, well, what do you call it? G90.
As well as my Yaesu 710.
Yeah. Alpha antenna. You've got loop antenna over there. So yeah, there's a lot. So let's get back over to building 1 and see what I'm going to buy. Okay, everyone, headed back into building 1. So got different LED style signs over here. Probably should look at one of these here at some point. Let's see. Looks like a lot of MFJ stuff over here. This booth. A lot of repeater manuals and stuff. This is chat radio. So, sorry if everything is not exactly the straightest on the camera angle, but I'm trying to use a handheld device here. I don't have one of those things you wear. So, excuse me. All right. Here is Kenwood over here. So, Here's some of the bad boy Kenwood radios, or big boy Kenwood radios rather.
66 pounds.
So there's that.
That was the TS990.
And here's this one.
That's the
That is the
TS890.
TS890. Maybe one day I'll have one of those, or a different Yaesu. We'll see. All right, here is R&L Electronics over here. When I was first getting started in ham radio, this is who I bought stuff from. So there's that.
Set up, and by the time 1 o'clock goes on, we're done.
Sorry. I'm trying to figure out where to go next. There's a lot of stuff here to look at.
Where does he actually live?
This whole section down here, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, is all DX engineering. So yeah, it's a pretty big section here. So, trying to figure out where I want to go next.
So me and Adam leaving Hamvention. And just a little video from way up high for you. And thank you for watching that. Join us next year at Hamvention and Hamcation. So thank you everybody for watching that. And
We hope you guys all enjoyed that. Now I know you guys are here for the APRS setup. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive in deep to that. Jeremiah, if you'd like to share the CPS for everyone, we could show them how to get these options going and how to get everything set up for you guys.
all right. So what you're going to see on the screen once I get it shared here is actually the 3.02 version of the CPS for the 878. And this was the code plug that I actually put together for Xenia. So what we're going to do is, first thing we're going to do is make sure that we go to Tool, Options, and we're going to make sure that GPS, if you want Bluetooth on, you can have it on or off. APRS and analog APRS receive, all checked. Then we're going to go over to APRS. And since I actually know my longitude and latitude for where I'm at, I actually put them in. So that's why I've got fixed beacon turned on for my handheld. But if I go out of the house, I just turn this off and it'll grab a GPS signal. But Adam, if you want to take it away on the rest of the settings here.
Of course. So now some of you guys might notice it might be blocked out for fixed location beacon. If that's the case, you can actually just close out of this, go to your optional settings, make sure your GPS is enabled. Jeremiah will show you guys right here. Just go to GPS, make sure it's on, get GPS position is also on, set your time zone accordingly. And you can actually choose the different GPS modes, but we just choose GPS by itself. So that way that's done. And now once you go back to APRS settings, you will notice you can actually change that to off. So fixed location will allow that one box below where you set your actual location and it'll go off of that.
Correct.
With that being said, we're going to go down the settings step by step. The first one is manual. So this means every time you push the push to talk, this is the interval it's going to start. So when you hit the push to talk, it's going to start this. And as you can see, it's set to 120 seconds. That's going to go every 2 minutes. Then the next time you push the push to talk, it'll transmit again. This is actually a very good setting if you're not in something like CERT, search and rescue, different things where you actually need your location. If you're doing a marathon and you're being tracked, that you might want to decrease your intervals so that way it's not bigger intervals and stuff like that. The auto APRS intervals is actually going to be how it sends automatically. So it's going to start that timer once it has that GPS location, and it's going to start and it's going to transmit that out. So after 120 seconds, that's going to auto beacon you to the closest digi repeater or whatever and actually transmit out your location. Now, as we go down, Support for roaming, we usually keep off because unless you're doing roaming on the actual radio and have that set up for ranging and roaming, this setting does not need to be set. You could just leave it to off no matter what. The next one is feet, the APRS altitude data, which you can actually do feet or meters. So depending on your location or what your preference is, you could choose. Just make sure you set to 0 next to it so it actually zeroes it out properly. The next one is your APRS display time. Excuse me. You have a number of options from 3 seconds all the way up to 15 and then infinity. I like to do 15 seconds so I can at least see the screen long enough and then it disappears because it might take you a second to look at the screen. So I find 15 to be too good. Infinity, you're going to have to close it every time and that could get annoying. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to jump down to the analog box below. The first one is the analog TX tone. This you want to leave off. It is an annoying squelch. If anyone remembers dial-up modems, it can really annoy you and everything and remind you of that. So we're just going to set that to off so you guys don't hear annoying squelches and tones of APRS being transmitted. The next one is our 2 call. This is actually very important. You actually set it like this: Alpha Papa, Alpha Tango 8-1. And the reason is we're actually telling the system how to decode our packets. The next 2 call SSID is a secondary to that for our packets. So we have that set as -1. So we actually know how the network knows how to process our data. You can look into APRS and all of that and get into more detailed if you want to change these. However, these are settings we know work, guaranteed to work. Don't deep dive into it unless you really want to know the ins and outs of APRS, which can be fun, but it also could be a big, huge headache if you're not sure on what you're doing. The next important thing you must put in is your call sign. As we are doing this in analog and digital. Analog, you do not use DMR IDs. Digital can take your call sign and convert it to a digital ID. So your call sign is a must. This will allow you to actually connect to the networks. This is also how you will look up your APRS location. So if you're putting in a commercial call sign or something, then you have a commercial call sign there. Your SSID, this is an identifier you give specifically to this device. So if you have multiple devices, you might want to do just kind of like a hotspot, 01, 02, 03, 04. This is similar to that. It's just -1, -2, -3, -4, all the way down. I believe it's 16. Could be more than that.
15.
15. Okay. So you can have up to like 15 different ones in there. So if you have your car set to 1, or you have multiple cars, you can have your car set to 1 and 2, your radio set to 3, if you're, in 4 or something. So you and your wife, who's who. One of you guys is odd, one of you guys is even, however you guys figure out how you want to do it. If you have kids, whatever, you can add all those in so you understand, especially if your wife's, you have them set up like, and what I mean is, say you have a vehicle, you set it up, it has your call sign built in for APRS, but they're still transmitting with their call sign when they communicate. This is how this would work. The symbol table is actually, we're just going to use a slash here. It tends to work. It's telling it what type of table to use. And then the next one is the map icon. The and happens to be the person with the walkie-talkie in their hand, ready to go and talk and all of that. I think 6 is a vehicle. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but you could look these up and find the map icons accordingly. So if you want to change them, you can mess around with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this right here is where a lot of people get messed up. All right. All capital letters. And what we're going to do is it's going to say wide, Whiskey, India, Delta, Echo, the number 1, the dash, and then a 1. And then this is important, a comma right there. Wide, Whiskey, India, Delta, Echo, 2-1. This is what it is. It's wide 1-1 and wide 2-1, not wide 2-2 or 1-2 or whatever. It's 2-1, and make sure you have that comma in there. You do not have that comma, it will not actually know what path to take. So those are very important right there. The next line where it says enter your sending text, you could put whatever you want. Jeremiah, as you see, put his name and call sign so that he has access to that, and he can see that that's the message broadcasting through APRS. So it's just a little message. You could say, you know, if you're doing something and you want to do it, say you're working on SARS, search and rescue, and you're doing some practice. You could say search and rescue practice, you know, the date and then your call sign. So you can actually have those logged and know this I was doing at this time. Or if you want to change it and say, you know, whatever it is you want, and you could, so at least you have some kind of message that goes along with those packets. Now, next you can see analog APRS transmit. You want to make sure this is on wide. A lot of people set it to narrow because of the narrow band. However, due to the things, everything is still on 25. No one's changed them, so you want to leave that to wide. Now we're going to start at the top. Transmission delay, 1200. This seems to work for a lot of people. You can also drop that down to 600 if necessary. But 1200 seems to work pretty well on a lot of them. Subtones we're going to have is off because that would be the CT, CSS, and DCS tones, as we're not trying to use a specific network. Say you are in search and rescue and you are connecting to a secure digi repeater, you may have one of those tones. In this situation, most public ones have no tones, so you don't have to worry about that. The pre-wave time is just, you could set to 1200. Or 600 to make sure that your transmit delay and your pre-wave time do match. So if you're doing 600 on one, make sure the other is 600 as well. You also want to make sure your transmit power is set to turbo. A lot of people go, why? Because you want to make sure you actually can hit those digi repeaters. Sometimes, like even Jeremiah's situation right now, he's not that far from a digi repeater, but inside his apartment, even on turbo, he can't hit it. So sometimes there are those situations where you do want turbo, and in order to get it from my house with turbo, I can hit the local digi repeaters perfectly fine. But if I was outside, I wouldn't probably, I could probably hit them mostly on high, but it depends on where you are, especially if you're traveling. You want to make sure you're not going to be transmitting and then dropping a packet because you don't have connection with it. Won't damage them. They're used to taking in that high transmission and it'll process it perfectly well. Now on the right-hand side, we have all these checkboxes. Each one of those are different things. So GPS position, you got messages, weather reports, other status reports, different items and objects. You could send messages. So you can actually do ranging with someone and see from your GPS location of them exactly how far you are, what direction they're in. You can also request your local weather and stuff through different APRS services as well. So you want to make sure all these are connected. That way you have all your capabilities available with APRS. I do know some people are like, I have APRS fine, I could send, I could transmit my position, but I can't get weather. Sure enough, they don't have it checked. So out of good practice, I just like to check all of these. Now we're going to jump up one section to this analog section. Now I hope I'm not going too fast for everyone, and I hope I'm providing you guys with enough information. Each one of these, as you will see, there is 8 of them, I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
8 different frequencies in which you can set here. Now, if you do travel, different countries will have different area APRS channels and all that. But here in the United States, it is 144.39000. Once again, that is 144.39000. I set all of them to the same thing out here just to make sure that no matter what channel or transmit APRS I'm selecting, I actually select the correct one. Now, a good practice is if you are doing different countries, they match the analog and digital numbers to each other. So as you can see up top, there's digital number 1 through 8, as well as analog number 1 through 8. You want to make sure that if you're doing US on number 1, you match it there. If you're doing the UK on number 2 or Canada or whatever nation, make sure that those match accordingly down the line. Now, as you can see, the way you could get your APRS in digital, well, before I get up to digital, let's finish with analog. So you set all of those, and then pass all on is a good practice. That way you can get all data, especially if you're trying to do receive or transmit, you send all the data. So if you're having APRS issues and someone's not, they could decode your packets. That's one of the good thing about pass all. Excuse me. Now we're going to come up here to digital. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to leave it on current channel. Some people like to change it to VFOB. Personally, I like to leave it on the same channel I'm on. If I'm have a digital connection, I'm talking to a digital repeater. There's no reason I can't send that information to that talk group through that repeater if I'm having access to the whole like Brandmeister network or whatever. Now, most repeaters are connected to Brandmeister network. Some are connected to their own proprietary network, but they will pass these IDs and stuff over. Now, in order to find your APRS talk group for you, what you're going to do is you're going to look at what Brandmeister server you're connecting to. So in America, we have 3102, 3103, and 3104. If we were to take the 310 out of that, because as they are, that is the common between all of them, and add 999 to the end, we now have a 6-digit talk group that will be our APRS talk group. So if you're in another country, the first 3 digits of your talk group, of your Brandmeister server, the master server you're connecting to, will be the beginning 3 for APRS. They all end in 999. So that's the easy part. You just have to remember what server you're connecting to, grab those first 4, and there's your APRS for digital. It is a private call. I like to use the current channel, like I said, and the current slot, so that way you don't have any messing. Say you roam and you're no longer hitting that repeater that you had set up in B, it can cause issues. I like to make it very simple and easy for everyone. And doing it this way makes it, as long as you know you have a connection to that repeater and it's working, this will work right afterwards. Now, again, if you do multiple countries, match them up accordingly with the numbers. Other than that, these settings are set. We can go ahead and click OK. And now these are the base settings for your APRS. Just because we set this does not mean we're actually going to be transmitting an APRS signal. We actually have to do one more step. One of the things is, before we do this, Jeremiah, we'll show them analog and digital.
Okay.
Before we get into this, I do want you to see that on channel 30 and 31 right there, Jeremiah does have 2 digital APRS receive channels. Now we have receive separate than transmit, and we are not going to go over this today. Actually, your settings are wrong there on some of this because it's on TX prohibit, so that whole APRS should be disabled. Correct, it should be off. Now, the reason why we're not going to get into this today is because it is complicated, and we will do another episode just on APRS receive. Today, we are just going to go on transmit, get you guys going with that, and then we will get you guys working on receiving packets and everything and learning how to do that with your radio. Don't want to confuse people today, so we will deep dive into that on another day. Okay, would you like to pull up a local repeater or something, analog? Okay. So on this, what we're going to do is we're looking over here at the APRS report type. Now, again, if you do not see these, just go tools, options, make sure your APRS is all checked up, and you will see these. Okay, so we're going to select this dropdown. Now in the dropdown, you will see there is off, analog, and digital. What we're going to do is we're going to select analog for this one. And now you have 2 different modes you can do. Start a transmission or end a transmission, as well as off. Sorry, 3 modes. Off means that when you do the push to talk, it will not transmit. Start a transmission, the moment you push the push to talk, it sends the packets. And then end a transmission, it sends the packets. Personally, I like end a transmission myself, but some people like start a transmission. It's all on your personal preference. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually go down to the last line there, and it's going to say analog APRS reporting frequency. Now, this is why I said it's kind of good to match these up, but always use number 1 as your home location, and that way you could select them. Now, if you aren't sure, that's why I said if you only have 1, select them all as the same, so that way no matter what option you set there, it actually will select the proper one. But number one is what we're using. Number one is what we programmed. And that is where we are choosing our number one frequency to be. So this is a proper APRS setup where it will both do analog. No, you don't need APRS receive on this one. You need it unchecked. Yeah. Now, this actually is a proper setup. And what this will do is this will transmit at the start of his transmission over an analog to a digi repeater with those settings we had set for analog. Let's see.
One of the most common things that I get in tech support is I'm not seeing myself on APRS.fi. There's a couple of reasons why that happens. One, incorrect setup. And two, the repeater itself isn't picking up your radio. You're too far from the digipeater. So if you're not getting into the digipeater and you've already confirmed all of your settings are set up just like we showed you in this presentation, then more than likely you're either too far away or there's something that is not set up correctly. So just keep that in mind. APRS.fi is a great tool that you can use to see if you're making it into the digipeater. And what you can do is you can type in your call sign followed by an asterisk, which is the special character on the 8 key. So just hit Shift 8 at the end of your call sign, and it'll show you every transmission that you have made that it has logged with your call sign.
Yes, the star or the Shift 8 is actually a wild card, so it'll grab everything afterwards, regardless of your ID, your SSID associated with it. Now, one thing to take into account is once you do see that APRS thing on there that says it transmitted the packet, it may take up to 5-10 minutes, depending on the connection with the digi repeater, how busy the digi repeater is, to actually transmit that data to APRS as well. So do take a couple minutes, wait for it to update. You will see it says update time or next update or whatever. Usually every 15 minutes, they do a hard update on everything. And you will see your information start to populate into there. We had a customer that came by at Hamvention. A couple minutes, just making sure his settings were set. He had a couple things incorrect. We just corrected all of them. One of them was that comma between wide 1-1 and wide 2-1. And then he also had the wrong APRS transmit frequency. So once we selected those two things properly, he was up and running on APRS.fi and able to see his location.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is how you do an analog one. Now, as Jeremiah said, you know, sometimes you might not hit that digi repeater, the digigate or the digi repeater, iGate or whatever, through analog. So we can go, okay. Would you like to open up a digital channel?
All right.
Skywolf. Let's go to Skywolf. Okay, so this is now connecting through his hotspot. What we're going to do is we're going to actually go down to APRS report type and we're going to go to digital. Now, with the push to talk here mode, it's either on or off on digital. So if you click on, it's going to do it when you do push to talk. If you click off, it's not going to do it when you do push to talk. However, the fact that he did select the reporting type means it's going to do that auto beaconing according to the time that you have set. This is the same for analog as it is for digital. And then right below digital analog APRS push to talk mode, you will see the reporting channel, which is number 1, is the one we set for 310999. Now that is the proper settings for transmitting. And that is all that is needed. And once you hit OK, you will now be broadcasting APRS on digital through the hotspot or your local repeater, if that's what it is.
Now, just so you
I
guys
do
are
notice you have
aware.
wrong talk groups on those. Skywolf's on local.
Oh. Where did it go?
Probably down. Oh, wait, no, because it, unless you just did Sky, no, it's down.
Nope, it erased it out of my talk group contact list.
Oh, there you go.
That explains why it's not there. Okay, so quick little lesson on how to fix that if you're missing a talk group. you can go here, go all the way down the list, all 1,600 of them, and add it at the very bottom. And this is Skywolf, Group
319
call, 319
1329.
1329. Click OK.
Now, everyone out there, you guys are more than welcome to use this. This is my secondary ID. If it locks me out of there, the Brandmeister, I'm not worried because I do have my primary ID I use. So if you guys want to talk to people in the community, you want to talk to other, me, Jeremy, Jeremiah, some other, people, we're always on those channels listening. Right now, my radio is off because we are streaming. But if you guys do want to reach out on there, give your call sign, see if anyone's available. If we're on a call or something, we might not answer, but wait around, hang out. There are people on there that will talk to you and answer. It's a fun talk group, and everyone is more than welcome to use it.
Yep.
Again, that talk group number is 319er 1329er.
All right. And for those of you who missed it, now that we added the talk group in, how I fixed it is just go back up here. We'll see it's up here now because the S is before the T, and just double click it. And it's right there under contact now. So I can click OK, and it updated. So quick little sub lesson for you guys.
All right. Now, with that being said, we hope we guys provided you guys with a great understanding of APRS transmit. And what we're going to do is we're going to get into some questions and answers right now with you guys. So one zone does not display DMR names like the other zones. It displays only DMR numbers. Users.csv file is updated and uploaded to the radio. How do I fix that for that one zone? What I would suggest, George, is maybe recreating the zone altogether, because it sounds like something got corrupted somewhere. And that's probably going to be your best bet. Just create a new zone, put them all in there, and then delete the old zone. Or you could check the actual channels to make sure that their names did not get changed to something like that. You, Brooks. Can you host digital and FM on the same frequency in the same area or location with different types? Actually, yes. There are different ones that go on. I do know our BCR repeaters specifically can do that. So you have one, it's listening on digital, one listening on FM. However, if they are on the same repeater, one will cut out when the other one's transmitting or receiving. So only one can be active at the same time. If you have two simultaneously, yes, because one's listening for digital signals while the other's listening for analog. That is actually one of the reasons why I've actually seen 3 towers next to each other with the same frequencies, all on digital, and they had different color codes. So there are some interesting things with digital that come up. That is a great question.
All right. Let's see, Dennis Ricketts, glad we were able to help you at Hamvention. And it looks like
David has a question. Yep.
Yep.
David, you have a question about not initializing? Send it on in here. We are glad to help you. Let's see what we can do. And you guys don't need to ask saying you would like to ask a question. Just ask the questions. Just bombard us with your questions. We'll go through them one by one. And, we'll stay on a little after. We got another 20 minutes of out in this episode. But if you guys want and there's still questions coming in, we will continue. If there's not, we will be ending the show early today. So.
All right. And one other thing for you guys, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you're able to see when we have different live shows, as well as new uploads for new video content for you guys. That as well, don't forget about BridgeCom Plus. That is a great service that you are able to get into. It gives you access to all of the BridgeCom University courses. Plus, depending on your membership level, you will get different perks. One of which, if you're a lifetime member, you actually get your name on the wall at the BridgeCom home office.
Yes, we are actually working on building a whole new thing. We're going to have something On the wall, it's going to say lifetime members, and we're going to have your membership number, your name, call sign, all of that up there. So we're really excited about that. You also get a swag box. So we're working on building swag boxes. We have a whole bunch about to be sent out shortly, which will be full of different swag and things that are related to your BC Plus. We also have membership cards for annual and lifetime members, which will be printed out here shortly and giving out to everyone as well.
Okay, David, on yours, if you reflash the micro SD card, you actually have to go in through Pi-Star Local or Pi-Star.local, and that's Pi-Star, Pi-Star.local. And that'll get you to the dashboard, and you actually have to reconfigure your modem type and your screen settings. Your modem type will be SkyBridge, dual band for GPIO, and your display will say Nexian. The port will say modem, and the
LSDN or the LSD3, whatever.
ONLDS3 is the L3, excuse me, is the layout for the screen. So under radio/modem, it'll say SkyBridge under general configuration, and then up top where it says DMR mode configuration, on the bottom line is where those other settings go. Now, are you trying to use Wi-Fi or are you trying to use Ethernet to connect? And the reason the screen says initializing is because the modem settings are not set up. That's why it says initializing.
What you can do, David, is you can run either a program like Angry IP, which will scan your network and you can find the device called Pi-Star. Or if you have access to your router and you know how to do it, you can look up your clients and find the Pi-Star device, access the IP that it's telling you is associated with that device. Once you log into that device, username is Pi-Star. Password is going to be Raspberry, RASPBERRY. And once you're inside there, you're going to set those settings that Jeremiah said.
Correct.
If you're still having issues and you can't access this, please provide a support ticket to us through our support site, support.bridgecomsystems.com. It says submit a ticket at the top, and we can actually further assist you from there.
Correct.
Just make sure you provide the necessary information.
If you don't have your order number, make sure that you have your email address that you used for your order, and we can look up your order number that way.
Correct.
Now, one thing to let everybody know, just so you're aware, if you get your radio from a friend or another vendor, we cannot provide support for those radios on the free basis. We can guide you to our YouTube videos. We've got a bunch of those, or you're more than welcome to get on BridgeCom University to learn about the radios. But if you're wanting that one-on-one support that you get with your BridgeCom purchase, you would have to pay for what's called an advanced tech session for that one-on-one if you got your radio through somewhere else, like a third party or another vendor. So
you're very welcome, David.
All right,
David
David.
said he's in and had the IP he's in, it works.
All right, awesome. So just make sure you set your modem type to SkyBridge, dual mode for GPIO, and then up top under the mode configuration, you will set that for Nexian on the first drop down at the bottom line. The second drop down will be set for modem, and the third drop down will say ON7LDS-L3. So, and just so you know, David, this video is being recorded for YouTube, so you will be able to replay this if you missed any part of it.
Yeah, just take a timestamp. We're at about 44 minutes.
So hopefully that helps. But I've had a few people lately that got their radios from other vendors and have been blowing us up for support. We're glad to help people, but it's got to be something that we sold to you. so we can provide the necessary support, because we got to take care of our customers first. But you do have the option that you can do an advanced tech session, and that'll take and allow you to be able to get that one-on-one support. We just have to schedule it. David, not a problem. Glad we were able to help.
Mm-hmm. Now, Eric, you're asking about M4 DAL. We actually had to upgrade him to advanced because we're doing a couple more tests and everything to determine exactly where the issue is, but we have a pretty good idea on what the issue is. As you guys might not understand what just happened there, Eric is actually looking out for another BC Plus member to making sure that he gets his issue fixed, because we're all working on it to make sure the issue gets fixed. So BC Plus is an amazing community. People do look out for each other. It is a good friendships you make with other people. We are adding more and more to the program every day. We have discussions on what we're going to add. We got a few new features that are going to be coming out, benefits to the members. So stay in touch and keep on that. And if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you do subscribe or join our membership program. It is an amazing program. We have a very nice community with forums and all of that. And you get access to all the replays of our BCU lives, which we do on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. We deep dive into DMR as well as some other things. I know we have some antenna building classes coming up and some other things. So if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you do check out the program. BC Plus is an amazing community. And I'm sure you can ask any number of people here who are BC Plus members, you know, what they think of the community, and they'll tell you it's amazing. So please join if you haven't done so already, and do yourself the favor of getting in a good group of guys.
Thank you, Andy, for the comment. And thank you, Eric. Just so you are also aware, we don't just have the annual and lifetime subscription. We do have a monthly subscription option as well. Now, you don't get all the perks with the monthly subscription that the annual and the lifetime do because it's tiered, but you do get a lot of the same perks. So if you're thinking, hey, I want to try this out, see how I feel, you can do the monthly subscription to get started, and then we can get you upgraded later to the annual or the lifetime if you want to do that. That's not a problem at all.
Actually, we set it up now where you guys could just log into your account on our Shopify store and our store and click on memberships, manage memberships at the top. And when you click on your membership, you can actually right there on the spot upgrade your BC Plus membership to the tier that you want, or you can downgrade. If you're at an annual and you want to go down to monthly again, you know what, you can always do that too. But it's a very powerful system we set up, and most people do the upgrades.
Well, thank you, Eric. We recommend it too. So glad that you were able to join us today.
Eric, the King of Jersey, recommends it, just so everyone knows. He recommends BC Plus.
Does anybody have any other questions about your SkyBridge, your Anytone? Anything that's ham radio related that me and Adam may be able to answer for you? Go ahead and put that in the chat. You Brooks, actually, yes, you can have two repeaters on the same frequency as long as they're separated, like one's on DMR, that'll use, time division multiple access.
TDMA, correct.
Which is the digital mode.
It also uses color codes kind of similar to PL tones.
Right. And FM you can have on your regular CTCSS tones, and those should not interfere with each other.
No, I've actually seen multiple towers together, analog and digital. We have repeaters that do both simultaneously. Only one will be active, meaning if one gets activated, the other one's muted out or attenuated, I guess you could say. So it's ignoring the signal. I've also seen multiple towers running multiple repeaters with the same frequency, just different color codes, all digital, and everything seems to work fine. So They are fixing some of those interference issues that happen with, especially with digital. And when you have a digital and analog, they're looking at two different frequencies. One's looking at a square wave while the other one's looking at a sine wave. So when it looks at something, it's like, oh, I don't know what this is. I'm attenuating it.
Right.
So
one other thing I want to bring up, I know that we had previously mentioned that there was an issue with the 2.05 and 1.18 firmware for the 578s. That turned out that it wasn't actually an issue. It was individual radios that were randomly having a slight problem with the firmware where it didn't upload the firmware all the way for the APRS settings. So Anytone said, here's how you fix it. You actually reflash the firmware to the radio again. So if you're going to do the 2.05 or 1.18 update, depending on if you have the plus model of the 578 or the pro model, you will take and reflash the firmware to the radio again and then reload your code plug. So flash it twice, MCU reset, reload your code plug. George, that really depends on you. For me, what I like to do when I set up a zone is I actually set them up by the repeater. So I have a DMR repeater that I can hit from the house. And what I'll do is I'll label that zone, that call sign for that repeater with DMR at the end of it. And then I'll take the channels and create and put all the channels that have the talk groups assigned to them for that repeater into that zone.
That's one way to do it. I out here have a mix zone. So I personally, because there's multiple repeaters, I'll have them all in one zone together and I just use like keys on them. So I know 1, 2, or 3, which repeater I'm talking about with the name and the talk group or whatever. So that way, when I'm out here in like LA, I could just switch to my LA zone and go between any number of those repeaters and just know that it's switching to those channels specifically. I also have ones set up for my CERT radios, all the fire department stuff that we get, stuff like that. I have all those frequencies also programmed in. And those are in their own zones. So I guess the best answer is whatever works for you, that you understand how to navigate your radio and what's easiest for you to use. That would be the best way to set up your zones. Everyone has a different preference. As you see, Jeremiah separates them by repeater. A lot of people do that. I like to mix my zones sometimes because I need to. So it's all dependent on your needs and how you understand how to access your channels. Would you say that's the best answer, Jeremiah?
Yes, it's your individual need, your personal need, and what makes sense for you is what it comes down to.
Now we do got another like 5 minutes left in the stream. If anyone's got anything else to say or any questions to ask, please let us know. If not, we will be dropping off here in a few minutes. Just wanted to make sure that we get everyone's questions answered before we do.
Now, while we're waiting for more questions, if you call in for support, please make sure that if you get transferred to the voicemail, that you are leaving your name, and please try and spell it phonetically, as well as your email address, your phone number, and your order number. And if it was the Amazon order, make sure that you specify that with the order number. You can actually look that up under your order history on Amazon to find your order number. And a good phone number that we can call you back at so we can make sure we can get a hold of you. I've had several tickets that have come in lately where they left a name and a description of the problem and no phone number to call them back. And for us to look you up in the system to verify warranty, we've got to have the email address and the order number. So just a heads up on that. Want to make sure everybody knows that. Now, sometimes the ticket load is heavier than others, so you may get a response right away, and other times it may take up to 24, 48 hours. If we went, especially if we just went to a convention like Hamvention or Hamcation or Pacificon. So just keep that in mind. We will get to you as soon as we can. We're not ignoring you. We just got to go in the order that they came in. So we want to make sure we get everybody taken care of in the order they came in so we can help everybody efficiently and make sure that you're able to enjoy your radio and your SkyBridge if you've got a SkyBridge that goes with your radio. We want to make sure that you enjoy your journey on DMR. So just keep that in mind, and thank you for giving us a chance to help you on your journey. Whether you're a member of BC Plus, you are doing the BridgeCom University course for your radio or SkyBridge, or you just got your radio, you're just getting started, thank you for letting us be a part of that journey.
All right. With that being said, I don't see any more questions coming in. I do want to thank you guys all for taking your time. I know you guys got things to do during lunch and everything, and taking your time to spend with us. We do really appreciate it. And on behalf of the whole BridgeCom family, I'd like to say thank you. And with that being said, I am Adam Kansix, QGV, with my co-host
Jeremiah, W9JAM, 73.
73.